Good evening, everyone, and welcome to day 415 on our continuing updates of the war in Ukraine and also current events that are happening around the world that connects to Ukraine and other places as well. Very, very important days in which we are living, and tonight have a full update on Ukraine. This 48-hour thing's working great. Got a lot of translation, a lot of video to share, and accurate updates, which ultimately is the most important thing as we continue to share the truth and tell the world what is happening. Not only that, support the truth. Right now, our team is en route. They're driving overnight tonight, heading north toward Chernihiv. We'll talk more about that later. I've got video in from Zhenya. We are shipping goods all over the country, making runs and making deliveries. And of course, we couldn't do that without you. So thank you for continuing to like, subscribe, comment, join the Patreon, donate financially, hit the Amazon. Everything that you do, every penny plus gets to the front. So thank you for that. Much appreciated. Let's jump right into it tonight. We're going to start with Easter. Easter is coming up this weekend. Of course, right now, 4 a.m. in Ukraine, moving into Saturday. The day after that, of course, is Sunday, and Ukraine will be celebrating Easter on the Orthodox calendar and the Orthodox schedule. President Zelensky and Kyiv came out today and put out stipulations for Easter gatherings. Do not run with this. Yes, you can have church. Yes, you can gather. Yes, you can celebrate Easter, the resurrection, but try to make your gatherings limited. Try to make them quicker and avoid open public gatherings out in the squares and different things, because Ukraine is expecting a high probability of missile strikes and or now the guided bombs that Russia is using very intently that you may or may not be hearing about. So Kyiv putting out the warning and saying, please be careful, be careful, be careful how you gather, because we are expecting mass attacks this weekend, because this is what they do. This is what they do. Holidays, New Year's, Christmases, now Easter, we are expecting a big attack. Many people have been seeing news about Hungary and thinking and seeing that it looks like Hungary is loosening their opinion toward Ukraine, because this guy right here, Viktor Orban, absolutely is an ally of Vladimir Putin. But I'm here to tell you tonight that that is not true. No matter what you see, what you hear, Hungary is still an ally of Russia. It doesn't matter. Yes, well, they're in the EU. They're in this. They're in that. Yes, but it doesn't matter. This man, the president of Hungary, is an ally with Vladimir Putin. He came out today with all these strong, bold statements saying, listen, Ukraine, this war, you need to end it. You need to find a way, because financially you are destroyed. He went further to say that the moment that the United States, that the West, that the EU stop supporting you, you will be destroyed economically. You're already internally destroyed. So just stop the war. Find a way to come to a peace there with Russia. So who do you think that person is an ally of? Of course, it is Vladimir Putin and the regime out of the Kremlin. So no questions there where Hungary stands, but this was the latest coming out of there today. Now, with that said, Ukraine and Infographics released a very interesting document talking about the support of the world in the war against the invasion, against Russia, against the invaders. Very interesting graphics here. You may not be able to read this, but I'll translate it for you. So this was a thank you infographic, a thank you saying we deeply appreciate the continued support. And of course, very interesting, this graphic came out on the same day that Orban is spewing off with the war is over, you're financially destroyed and financially defeated. But Ukraine comes out and says, this is the numbers we're looking at, that nations are helping us. So the title of this actually says Latvia is helping us with 49.2% of their defensive budget. 49.2% of Latvia's defensive budget is going toward Ukraine and assisting them. Very interesting here. The three biggest supporters versus their military allocated defense budget are the three Baltic states. The second one there, 43% of their budget, Estonia. This is not GDP, folks. This is defense budget allocation. 49.2% Latvia, 43% Estonia, and 35% Lithuania. Think about that. These nations who were formerly behind the Iron Curtain, these satellite block nations of the Baltic states of Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia, know what's going on. After that, just for interest, Bulgaria, 21.3%, Luxembourg, 20.7%. And some of these nations you do not hear too much about, but here's the proof in the pudding. Finland, 20% of their defensive budget. Poland, 19.3%. And they have to be careful because the rhetoric is coming. They're a border nation. But 19.3% of theirs. 18.4%, Czech. Netherlands, 18.2%. Sweden, 17%. Norway, 16.8%. Denmark, 16.1%. What is that one? Oh, Croatia, 14.4%. Great Britain, 11.5%. Slovenia, 9%. Slovakia, 9.5%. Germany, 6.8%. I know you're wondering. Canada, 5.9%. The United States, 5.5%. And you need to understand, which you do. You're here with me all the time. You're educated on this stuff. The 5.5%, of course, that the United States is giving is many, 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 many times over the 49% that Latvia is given. But the reference here is how much these Baltic states are really given in these nations that are bordering, that are there in Europe. But United States, 5.5%, then on and down. Belgium, Greece, Italy, Spain, Portugal, France, Australia, 1.4%. New Zealand, 0.4%. Turkey, 0.3%. Let's take a look at that. That big nation, Turkey. Of course, they have their own financial issues, but still, it shows you. Where's Hungary? Oh, they're not on the list. What does that tell you, folks? So that's the update on that. Very interesting graphic to look at right there. Now, many people have wondered, are there leopards? Talking about military budgets and helping. Of course, here is a picture of a Leopard tank. These are the tanks that are being provided to Ukraine. And I can tell you tonight that Leopards are in Ukraine. I have personally seen them with my own eyeballs. Other things that were waiting on to arrive or not there yet, not transferred, I don't and can't speak about. But one thing that I can tell you is that Leopards are there. I have seen them personally. But very interesting. I think it was on RIA. Was it on RIA? Yeah, RIA News. A Russian soldier was giving an interview and talking about Leopard tanks. So tonight we're going to jump in. This is going to be the first translation that I give you. This is a Russian soldier talking about seeing Leopard tanks and reporting back to Russia what the great things the military has done against the Leopard tanks there. Of course, this is ridiculous. Check this out. Voiceover for you. So here, Leopards, the tanks are shelling. They're shelling our roadblocks, but we've seen them. They're here. But I've got a story of some soldiers, some friends of mine that we communicate with, and they actually captured a Leopard tank, but they couldn't get it back to us, so they just took it and drowned it in the swamp. So the fact is, Leopards are here. They're our guests. We take care of them. So leopards are here, not only confirmed by my eyeballs, but confirmed also by the Russian military. But they're such good soldiers that they're capturing them, and not only capturing them, they're throwing them in the swamps. Folks, this is the stuff, the propaganda, the news that gets back to Russia that people are seeing. That's RIA Novosti, meaning Russian news. It is what people are seeing. So they're there just believing it. Oh, we got the leopards. They're throwing them in the swamps. Our boys are incredible. Of course, they're not throwing leopards in the swamp. Have some leopards been hit? Absolutely. I know. Are leopards doing some serious work? Yes. It's a war zone. It's a front line. But no, leopards are not being captured and thrown into swamps. But that is what, of course, is being reported. Now, I want to go back now and actually talk for a moment about China. Let's talk about China for a second tonight. I can give you some updates on China. Of course, you probably have seen news where China says they're going to call for peace and they're going to not supply or help any side on this war. Ukraine came out today with proof and validation, photos, documents that Chinese components, Chinese parts, more and more and more they are discovering on the front lines. We know that Chinese body armor is there. This is just the beginning, but Ukraine saying, yes, Chinese supplies are here. They're in our country and they are being used to invade and attack us. China, of course, saying we're not doing that, but very interesting today. It is April the 14th. This guy that you're seeing right here, his name is Li Shangfu. Interesting name. Defense Secretary for China, Defense Minister. He is actually en route to Moscow. He will be meeting for 3 days with Shoigu, April 16th through the 19th. Of course, we'll get more information from that. Hopefully, we'll get some video out early next week when these meetings are taking place. But if you're not going to supply, if you're not going to help, if you're just a bystander and you're the one calling for peace, what's your defense minister going to Moscow for and sitting down with Shoigu for 3 days? 16, 17, 18, 19. Actually, what will that be? 4 days he's going to be there with Shoigu. So interesting things out there right now with China. But just remember, China's not helping. And everything that Ukraine says, of course, is wrong. Now, I also tonight need to give you an update, and this is coming out from Zaporozhye Nuclear Power Plant. This is a photo of Zaporozhye Nuclear Power Plant. This is a Russian soldier standing there. You're hearing, maybe you've read where it's looking like Russia is going to once again leave Zaporozhye Nuclear Power Plant and just evacuate, getting ready for a Ukrainian invasion. Folks, don't believe any of that mess. Let me tell you what's really happening at Zaporozhye Nuclear Power Plant. Within the last 24 hours, mines have exploded accidentally adjacent to nuclear reactor number 4. This is what's happened in the last 24 hours. Russia calling it an accident, a mistake. They didn't even say that Ukraine fired upon it. It was their munitions that went off adjacent to the reactor. And this is what the atomic energy agencies have been talking about. We're this close, just an accident happening, and then what would happen? Destruction way beyond what happened in Chernobyl in 1986. Additionally, do you remember early in the war when Chernobyl, speaking of Chernobyl, was occupied by the invaders and the scientists there who were maintaining the integrity of what's in the sarcophagus under Chernobyl? Chernobyl's not active anymore, but there's still scientists, rocket scientists, nuclear scientists that work there to manage the mess in the sarcophagus that covers the mess. Remember, they were held hostage. News coming out today that Russia is going to be locking down the Ukrainian scientists that are still working under occupation, under control of the Russian military, under the control of Rosatom, the Russian nuclear power company, of course, which is headed by none other than Vladimir Putin. They're going to lock them down, not even allowing them to leave the premises. So what does that point us towards? It doesn't point us towards anything other than they are expecting maybe counteroffensive, or they are expecting some type of their own offensive where they're locking down that position. We're getting a lot more bombing on the front lines, not so much the missiles flying, but these guided bombs are dropping all along the front lines. And we'll talk about that more in just a moment. What I want to do to actually talk about that, why don't we do this? Let's go to the map here. Of course, here is the map we use looking at Ukraine. Here is Kyiv right here in my mouse. I can tell you right now that our team, let me jump out for a second, which you are a part of, and we thank you for that. They're loaded. And we have shipments going all over the country. In fact, I was going to save this for later, but let me play this one video now from Zhenya. This was our shipments being loaded today, and they are going north, east, and south. So this was the loading. This is how we ship goods through companies there inside Ukraine. They sent me this clip. This is today. In fact, right now, Zhenya and Zhenya are probably listening to us live as they're driving through the night on the way up to the Chernihiv area. We'll look at that on a map in just a moment.
Continue helping. First box full, the second one is full, the third one in the process. Here's the first one, he's waiting. Thank you. All the people and partners helps us.
So those are the shipments that we have going out. That's how we load them. Of course, we have our own trucks and trailers that we haul and carry goods with, but we also pre-ship ahead so that once we've dropped, we pick up other equipment and other supplies and keep rolling. Pretty good system that you guys have been watching for months and months and months now. So we have shipments going all over the country, and right now our team is en route, and we'll start with where they are heading. Let's go back to the map now. So Kyiv right here, and then if you go up north, remember the town early in the war, deoccupied now, Chernihiv, and then over here, Sumy. These are places that we haven't talked about too much, but here is a large city, Chernihiv. It's just across from Chernobyl right here, and also in this pocket by the Belarusian and then, of course, the Russian border. And all of this, folks, is loaded with Russian forces who are shelling once again these regions across the border. But more importantly, they are running bombing missions with their bombers, dropping these guided 500 kilogram, I wanted to say kilogram pound because I'm an American, but 500 kilogram bombs. So these are guided. They're very dangerous. They're devastating. And right now they are being dropped on Chernihiv. They are also being dropped on Sumy. Then, of course, we come down to Kharkiv, where we know very well all along all the front lines now, a new tactic is the use, much heavier, of these bombers making runs. And honestly, Ukraine does not have any answer for it. Now, today, I want to focus into the pocket of Bakhmut, which is right here. I'm going to show you some video from Bakhmut in a moment. But remember, I've taught you this whole zone here, this circle zone. This is Bakhmut. Then you have Konstantinivka. You have Kramatorsk. And you have Slovyansk. This entire region, this pocket, is vital. Whoever holds on to this region is going to win Donetsk region. It's a fact. Right now, Ukraine is holding it, but we are slowly losing Bakhmut. Today, Ukraine did rotate some troops out of Bakhmut to save their lives, and we'll look at that in just a moment. But I want to start with Sloviansk. Today, Sloviansk was attacked by S-300 missiles in a residential block of homes. I can show you this right here. This was one of the impacts. They were hit with S-300 rockets, which Russia has converted to not be ground to air only, but now can go ground to ground. They are still cleaning this up even now as we are streaming tonight. The death toll is now at 9, and there are dozens and dozens wounded. This is the city of Sloviansk where we have based. You can see here is the way the residential block of houses are. They'll be in that rectangle, and inside will be the courtyard, the playground for the kids, the parking lot for cars. That is the way these buildings are designed. And today, S-300 attacked this block of residential buildings. Terrorism. Today, an infant was killed. Just so you know, the depravity of this. Earlier in the day, as we were preparing for the stream and following this, the infant was actually rescued from under the rubble alive. They made it to the rescue squad. I have video of that. Not going to show it because the infant passed away right in their arms in the rescue squad. 14-year-old teenager killed today, sitting in their room. Probably doing homework or playing a video game, what a teenager would be doing. Killed, along with many other people. You can see here they were rescuing this man. 2 guys up top and the older gentleman there. Folks, that would be up on top of a 9-story building. It's tragedy and terrible. So that's what's happening in Sloviansk today. So it's another terrible day. This circle we run, Zhenya will be here in our team in just a few days. All of this area here, Sloviansk, Kramatorsk, and Konstantinivka, Chasiv Yar, and the support of Bakhmut. Just you do realize, and you see here this Sloviansk, not close. I mean, it is close to the front lines, just kilometers away, but it's not like Chasiv Yar. It's out here. And Sloviansk is an area 100% that Russia wants. Now, if we zoom into Bakhmut, I've been using this time scale here to show you from our last stream. This was the amount of territory that Russia was occupying. But over the last 24 hours, the Wagners in the middle have been pushing through that central road there, and they have been able to grab some more, as you can tell, with the support of Russian military on the north side and on the south side. Now, with that said, I've got a couple of videos out of Bakhmut that I've received over the last couple of days. The first one is nighttime bombing. One of the things that we've talked about is this scorched earth policy, this Syrian scorched earth policy where they are just leveling everything. I have shown you video of, for example, of Marinka, where it looks like an apocalypse. Well, this is what happens during the night. This is some footage I'm going to put it here. This is out of Bakhmut. If you look in the top left, you see the building kind of lit up. Well, this is with thermal vision. You can see that is not lights on, that is fires burning. You see in the bottom right, fire burning. Everywhere you see the bright white light, it's fires burning. This night before last, just showing as Russia comes through with the scorched earth, this is how they're destroying the buildings. You can just see the building just drop. It's It's scorched earth. This is what we're witnessing. Additionally, today we received video out, and it has been confirmed that this was Bakhmut. Just confirmed a little while ago. This is the largest explosion. When we received this, the soldiers were saying this is the largest explosion we've seen yet in Bakhmut. And this one's just crazy. No sound, just footage. These are 9-story buildings below it. So just extract that up 45, 50, 60, 70 floors into the air. Step by step by step, Bakhmut is being leveled to the ground. And you can see here that over the last couple of days, and this is one we're watching and paying serious attention to, pretty good little chunk there has fallen. So that is Bakhmut. Now, I want to come around now to one more place. This is happening all along the front lines here, but I want to come to Nikopol tonight. Nikopol down here across from Energodar. So this is actually the Zaporozhye nuclear power plant here at Energodar. You can see the cooling pools here referenced, and you see the city of Energodar. The nuclear power plant is right here. Right across the Dnieper River is a large city of Nikopol, over 100,000 people. It is significantly, or a significant portion of it is just destroyed. It is step by step, not invaded, shelling, nonstop, every day, Nikopol being hit, being shelled, being bombed, and being wiped off the planet. We got some video out today of a rescue operation where you have military, you have police, and rescue going to a place where artillery just arrived, and there's nothing overly graphic here. Let me get back to the main image here. There's nothing overly graphic, but you're going to be able to witness a rescue operation that happened right after a shelling event took place. We worked today. We got the voiceover on this, and just a powerful video clip here of a rescue in Nikopol. Hey, stop right here. Okay, let's do this quick. Are there any casualties? Yeah, over here. Are there any casualties? Are there people here? Listen, get out of here. Go take cover. Where are the people at? Who's alive? Anybody here? Are there any wounded? Okay, they're wounded. Get on the radio. There are wounded people here. Oh, 2-300s, meaning 2 dead. You need more help over here. Come on, get out. Come on, there's one more. Come on, get your legs. Get his legs. Come on, pull him out. Now they're taking the wounded to the car. Close it. Let's get out of here fast. Faster. Well, there are two of them. These 2 people from the same address. That video released directly from Ukraine today, and their insignia there, and those last 3 words that you saw on that blue screen says serve and protect, much like police in the United States, and I'm sure other nations have their logos to serve and protect. So that happens every day in Nikopol. Every day. Rescues, death, and destruction. So thought that would be something good to share not about the destruction, but showing Ukraine working very hard. And as you could hear there, the 2 300s, and that the guys told me when we were working on the translation for Ukraine. That's a indication of 2 lives lost. They call them 300s there. So maybe it isn't the same in your nation. I don't know, but that's what it means there. So very, very tough, but real situation that you're seeing. A couple of last things I want to show and share with you tonight. I have one more video from Zhenya and our team as they're heading out and rolling. But additionally, we have talked as we are entering into the Orthodox Easter. Of course, on the Western calendar, we've come out of Easter celebration this past weekend. Now we're moving into the Orthodox Easter. And day 415, many times we have shared with you that this is a holy war. We see this happening throughout the world. We can talk about those on different days, whether it be Israel, whether it be the Middle East, the United States, Europe. But of course, tonight, as always, we're focused on Ukraine. But we have stated that the Russian viewpoint, especially from the Orthodox influence there of the Russian Patriarch Kirill, view this as a holy war. Not only that, the propagandists of the 2 main ones, of course, being Solovyov and Semyon, Margarita Semyon. When I show you this video, in a moment, you will recognize her face immediately. Excuse me. And these people are demented. That's what I'm going to tell you. These people are demented, but this message is shared every day on the propaganda. Well, Semyon came out and gave her analysis of the biblical proportion of what Russia is doing to Ukraine. I'm telling you, viewing Russia as the Israelites, you're going to hear it yourself in a moment. God's chosen people. And she makes reference to the story of Exodus when the plagues came upon Egypt and God liberated the Israelites. Well, now she is twisting that scripture and using it to tell the story that Ukraine is Egypt and Russia is God. Okay, you want to see it? Here it is. Voiceover, ready to roll. We know from history and religion what happens to godless people, people that fight against God, possessed people who do not let go and hold an entire nation hostage. Remember the 10 plagues of Egypt that happened to them? As it happened to the Egyptians, to the Pharaoh of Egypt, he would not let the Israelites leave. It's written about in the Bible. In the Pentateuch. Exactly the same thing is happening now. It's amazing. Let's remember those 10 plagues of Egypt. 4 of them are exactly what's going on right now. The plague of turning the water to blood. For those that do not remember, read it. There, the rivers turned into bloody rivers. And there was also the 9th plague, which was darkness. When the Egyptians stayed in darkness for 3 days, does it remind you of anything? When with our retaliatory strikes, we destroy Ukrainian infrastructure. And then they sit in the darkness. Now there was also the plague called thunder, and lightning, and hail. Like a thunderstorm of hail and fire, a hailstorm that hits people and animals. And it also hits plants, just like our self-propelled multiple rocket launchers, the Grads. Does this ring any bells? The death of the firstborn son? It's about mobilization. I'm already confused as to what the mobilization is underway in Ukraine. The 6? Well, those are the firstborns. They're not firstborns anymore. They're all of them. They've practically wiped out their own male population. I'm actually going to put that up on YouTube as a short probably tomorrow, just because The world needs to see that. And when you see it, if you're watching, please share that video. I'm going to put it up for one piece. You see the red dress? You see the images of Egypt and the blood of river and the plagues and all this? It's all produced. Do you see where she's sitting? Not in a studio. She's in her home. And what is she doing? Talking very conversationally to the Russian people. Well, how do you know she's talking to the Russian people? She's speaking Russian. Is it? She's on the state TV and she's talking and very conversationally. You know, the blood of river, their blood flowing in their rivers, and you know the plague of darkness. Well, that's our retaliatory strikes taking out their electrical infrastructure grid, and the hailstorms that rain down on Egypt. That's our Grad missile systems, and so on and so on, folks. Her initial word was the Ukrainians are possessed. I think Margarita Simonyan, you need to look in the mirror because you're the one that's possessed. So unbelievable stuff there. Finally, I told you guys that Jeka is en route. He and one of our other team members, whose name is also Zhenya, they're starting about a 2,500 kilometer route of aid delivery and assisting frontline areas. We will be sharing video and updates all along that journey. But right before they were pulling out today, Zhenya sent me this video clip, and here you go.
Okay, so all of these food sets goes to territory which was deoccupied, and these days these people will have a food on their tables because of you, because of the love, because all the partners who are helping us. And these food sets will be delivered to area where people every morning can see the occupied bank of the river, because they live across of that. So thank you. Keep doing, helping, continue helping people, making a difference, and God bless you richly.
And there you have it, folks. Zhenya said it perfectly. Thank you. This is what we're doing. We're heading, of course, it's going to be an entire route, an entire circle, but some of that aid they're going down on the bank of the river. Of course, that'll be somewhere between Kherson and Zaporozhye. So thank you, guys. Thank you, as always. He already has stated it. We much appreciate it. Step by step, we're going to do our part. Stand for truth, stand for victory. Thank you for being here. Thank you for continuing to support. You guys have a great weekend. If something cranks out, of course, we'll pop on here. Also, going to be dropping that short on there about Simonyan, and probably one more. When you see it, if you are a subscriber, please share it on your social media. Let's get it out there. And the little video clips are always easy to share. Our Patreon community is growing there. I'm sharing lots of video that's interesting. Got a really cool look inside Bakhmut coming that I just can't share, honestly, on YouTube, or they'd shut me down. So it'll be there. You guys jump in there. All of those resources we use also to bless those that are part of our team. So as always, be blessed, and we'll see you with the next update very soon. Good night.